great news out of Cincinnati. I was just watching the press conference that two of the lead doctors who worked on Hamlin are having it right now. Guys, run tape on it so we can bring it to people in a little bit. But he is awake. He is communicating. He is also holding the hands of family members. He is not speaking. I guess that was an erroneous report that was out there. But he's communicating by writing. The doctors did say full neurological abilities, capabilities, which is a godsend. If not for the quick acting EMTs and medical staffs, again, the doctors reiterated that. That would not be the case. Age played a role in it. Him being in great shape played a role in it. He is not breathing 100% on his own yet, but the lung function apparently is improving significantly hour by hour. And the very first thing that he wrote to the doctors was, "Who won the game?" And the response was, "You won the game of life." And this is really great news. And, I never thought I'd feel the emotions I'm feeling right now about a guy I'll probably never meet and I've never met. And this is a great continuation of with such a bad story. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
That's what sports does, though. Like, we don't meet 99.9% of the athletes that we watch, but it feels like you know them. It feels like you have a relationship with them. And most of us had our eyeballs on a football game the other night, and something happened that none of us had ever seen before.
Yeah.
And there was a thought over the last few days, oh, my God, this kid may lose his life.
Yep.
And it's scary. And to hear, not only is he recovering, but how about the fact that he remembers what he was doing? He remembers, we were playing a football game. Did we win?
Yeah, it's great. So that's the good news. As that gets updated, which I don't expect a new update again for hours, even down till tomorrow. But he is getting better, and he is communicating, and he did wake up, and he's still in critical condition because he's using a machine to help him breathe still. But the fact that cognitively, neurologically, he's apparently all good. That was my biggest fear, and as we discussed on the show, that is good, which now brings us even quicker now to the football conversation. Obviously, Week 18 is happening this weekend. Giants in Philly, Jets down in Miami. You know the important games, obviously. You got the Bills playing New England. You got Cincinnati getting back on the field playing the Baltimore Ravens. You've got Kansas City and the Raiders on Saturday night, et cetera, et cetera. There's an idea that's out there that Pro Football Talk put out. Not their idea. They claim, and that's our buddy Mike Florio and Chris Sims, that the NFL is considering adding another playoff team to the AFC and the NFC so that way they can figure out how to make it equitable for everybody if that Bills-Bengals game is never made up. That's a decision I would think has to be made today. Right, as teams now prepare for games this weekend. And some teams are using backup quarterbacks. Some teams, have kind of thrown in the towel already. I don't think they're going to do that. But the fact that they're even toying with that idea, if that report is accurate, is really fascinating.
Say what you want to say.
The New York Jets are back in it. And that brings up the question, now I want Mike White quarterbacking. Or do I? Because I was saying to Evan yesterday, and we had this conversation a little bit on the air and off the air. Like, the game right now means nothing to the Jets other than the joy of knocking the Dolphins out. If they're not already knocked out, based on the final in New England versus Buffalo, right?
Right.
If Buffalo beats New England, Miami's very much alive. If New England beats Buffalo, then the Dolphins are out.
Right.
So the Jets, we don't know yet, but going into the game, they got to play the role of spoiler because the games are all at the same time, right? But now if you tell me there's going to be an 8th playoff team, I'm now back in the conversation.
Yeah, my understanding is, because this is the first thing I thought about. Once I saw that idea being floated out, and all it is being floated out, it's not done, it's not necessarily going to happen.
And I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
Who knows?
But it doesn't stop your imagination from rolling. So the first thing I thought about was, okay, I know the Jets are 10th. I know Pittsburgh and Miami are ahead of them. What has to happen for the Jets to magically get the 8th spot? And there are a few things, by the way. It's not as simple as go beat the Dolphins. They would need the Steelers to lose. They would need Tennessee to lose because you don't want Jacksonville coming back down for a wild card spot. So there's some complications here.
Yes.
But They're alive. Now, let's take our fandom aside for just a second.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Again,
I mean, you cannot do that.
I don't listen. Number one, I don't think the Bills and Bengals are going to play. So that's number one.
No, but Craig, if they don't play,
Yeah.
while maybe not ideal in terms of fairness and what to do with the standings.
Well, it's only not fair to a team like the Baltimore Ravens, who in theory,
lost the division.
if they beat Cincinnati on Sunday, then they would want the Bengals and Bills to play, because if the Bills beat Cincinnati, then the Ravens are division champions.
No, to your point, by having them not play and not adding an eighth team, while it's unfair for a handful of teams, it doesn't affect as many teams as adding an eighth playoff spot would. I agree with that aspect, but you can't add an eighth playoff team days before you're about to play Week 18.
You can't?
You can't do that.
I mean, you can.
You can, but
you're
you
the
can't.
NFL. You do whatever the hell you want.
Well, you can do whatever you want, but do you think that's the most prudent choice?
By the way, it would probably be the most popular decision amongst the majority of clubs, because it brings 3-4 teams that are currently out back in. So those, full well, if it came down to, let's even say, the NFL owners took a vote, what do you think Woody Johnson's going to vote for? No?
Right, but so what do the players say? Most of the players are going to say, I want to make the playoffs.
You're damn right
they
they
vote
are.
yes.
Yeah.
But do you think it's the right thing to do?
I don't care if it's right or wrong. You tell me the Jets beat the Dolphins, we're in the playoffs, I'm in for it. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
Look, I'll get into it, too, if it's announced. But I'm just saying right now, taking my Jet hat and taking it off for a second, you really shouldn't do this.
I'm not saying you should do it.
And then it also means you got to add an eighth team for the NFC.
Yes.
So Ron Rivera was right the entire time. They haven't been eliminated.
Maybe they have not. But, of course, they're playing a third-string quarterback. What's his name? Howell?
Yeah, Sam Howell.
Because Taylor Heineke went to Rivera and said, look, I appreciate starting again, but the game don't mean anything. Let this kid get an NFL star to be a great throw for him. Right? I'll be fine. I'll be in the league next year. I may not be a starter,
right,
but I know I'm going to be fine. I'll be in the league. I mean, you talk about selflessness. I love that.
But it also changes a lot of plans. Like you mentioned, if they're not playing the game and they're not adding an eighth playoff team, the Baltimore Ravens have no reason to try.
Yeah, it changes a lot.
The division race is over. So there's a lot of moving elements to this and what they're going to decide to do. I don't think the NFL's decided anything. I think the NFL's floating things out there just to see the reaction.
Look, I still think the right answer, the most likely answer, is if it's for the division, then they have to play the game next week. I don't care what day. Pick any day you want, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You eat up the off week before the Super Bowl, which apparently they're not thrilled to want to do, and you just push everything back.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is I had read over the last couple of days, really last couple of hours, because how many days has this gone back, that the Bills and the Bengals themselves really weren't keen on playing the game.
Well, I can give you a little insight on that.
Yeah.
Because someone close to me had talked to somebody on the Bengals. And I'll leave it at that, all right? And I told you off air. Apparently, the issue the Bengals players have is they would rather not play the Bills in prime time in their building.
Because of what happened?
Yeah.
And the reminding
now,
of it?
You want to play in the afternoon, you want to play at a different place. I guess there's an eerie feeling about.
I totally get that.
About going back there at nighttime. I mean, I got to respect that.
But don't you think that things changed in the last few hours? Because you've got
his health,
kid.
yes.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. Because when the first thing he says is who won the game.
Yeah.
That shows you that the athlete mentality was still there.
Yeah.
Even as he can't speak, even if he's sitting in a hospital. And don't you think that uplifts all his teammates and the opponents to say, wow, he's doing great.
Yep.
Yeah, let's play football.
I think it ends any doubt about the Bills being ready to play this Sunday against New England, which I know a lot of people kind of were throwing out there about the Bills aren't even practicing this week. And, they have a lot of, as they should, mental health therapists there and professionals. And no one's talking to the media and all that. The fact that you got the news we got, which I'm sure the Bills knew before we knew, I think changes the entire spectrum of all of it. If the kid's on life support and he's non-communicative and you're worried about your neurological problems and he may not pull through, whole different ballgame.
Of course, that's why I know that one of the reactions people are going to have to him saying who won the game is, see, they shouldn't have stopped the game.
No, that's not right.
No, it's not right because the players don't know this. They don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
All they know is they saw their teammate, their friend, their brother collapse on a football field. They're not thinking, oh, let's go play football. He'll be fine. Now that it appears he is fine, and there's been great progress over the last few hours.
He's still critical, but he's going in the right direction.
Right, but there's been great progress.
Yes.
You would think that makes the players say, oh,
let's go.
Let's go.
Right. I agree. 100%. I agree. I just think the wrinkle of the postseason is just interesting.
It's
Now,
interesting because we're Jet fans.
well, yes, of course that's why it's interesting. And let's be fair. God forbid an 8 seed upset a 1 seed. You would have people be screaming bloody murder in the city where the 1 seed, like, yo, give me a NFC. So let's say Seattle. Seattle right now is on the borderline. Them in Detroit, right?
Right.
If Seattle wins, Detroit's out. Then Green Bay, of course, they win, they're in. But it takes Seattle or Detroit. If either one of them was the 8 seed, so they're on the outside looking in, they get in. The Eagles aren't right because Jalen Hurts is still banged up. And Seattle or Detroit goes to Philly and beats the Eagles. Oh, my God.
The only...
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I can, sort of.
Kind of rooting for it.
I do have a retort to this, even though it's not a perfect comparison. So you can tell me it's not.
Go.
We have seen playoff formats change because of unprecedented circumstances. We saw it with the pandemic. We saw the NBA and the NHL completely reconfigure their postseason. We saw baseball completely reconfigure their postseason. In the strike of 81, they reconfigured their postseason. In the strike of 82 in the NFL, they completely reconfigured their postseason. Obviously, the circumstances are far different, and we were given more notice, which may be an impact here. We're getting 2 days notice, 3 days notice. But, Craig, it isn't unprecedented for a league to say, hey, we've got to do things different because this happened.
Yeah, listen, sometimes crazy things happen. You have to react to them.
My only issue is, Craig, 2 days, 3 days. Like, it is weird for teams to have been eliminated. They're done. They're making decisions as if they're done, like you said. And now they're told, oh, wait, you're still alive. You're still playing. You still can make the playoffs.
I mean, there's a handful of cities that come immediately to mind that would not mind this news in both the AFC and the NFC. You know, it changes the entire specter of a couple very important games.
May I ask you a question?
Like the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, the Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions, the Seattle Seahawks, Jacksonville or Tennessee, right?
For us, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
The New York Jets beat the Dolphins on Sunday. They get all the other help they need. The Pittsburgh Steelers lose. The Tennessee Titans lose, and they are the 8th team. And they are now playing the number 1 seeded Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
And they beat them. And all of a sudden, the Mike White magic is back.
Oh, he's quarterbacking?
Is there any part of you that feels dirty?
No.
Not at all.
No.
You told Giant fans 6-10 isn't a real division.
6-10 was a joke.
Yeah, this isn't?
Yeah, but Giant fans wouldn't have felt dirty about it.
Some did. Tommy Lugauer's a Giant fan, at least he claims to be. Said he didn't want to win the division.
No,
he said
he's full of crap.
He said it.
If they'd gotten into the playoffs and had a playoff game, which would have been a MetLife Stadium, he would have loved it.
What's more legitimate, winning a division at 6-10 under the regular rules, or making the playoffs and rules that were created 72 hours before the final game of the season?
Winning the division at 6-10.
That's real. That's more real.
I think so, yeah.
That's less fugazi.
Yes.
Yet you ripped the Giants a year and a half ago for that.
I ripped Giant fans for being pissed off that Philly screwed them when you had a 6-win season.
You told them a 6-win season isn't a real playoff year.
It's a joke, a 6-win season.
Okay, would this be a real playoff season? Would 8-9, when they just added an extra playoff spot 3 days before the week started, would that be real in your mind?
As a wild card team and not a division winner, you bet your ass it would
And then they go on a run.
And then the Jets go on a magical run, which would never happen because we suck. It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. Which is my point. Assuming Mike Florio got this from a league source, and I like Mike a great deal, then I would say if it came down to a vote, I think it's an easy vote because every team on the bubble is going to vote yes, right?
So who's against it then? Just us as sports fans who don't think it's right?
If you're Kansas City, if you're Philadelphia, if you're a team that's still vying for the 1 seed, you wouldn't be in favor of it because you're losing your edge. You're losing the advantage of having a great regular season. So I can see them saying F no. Yeah,
but if
makes sense to me.
But if you're a team that's not necessarily going to get the 1 seed, which is everybody but 2 teams.
Take Chicago for a minute. Right. Chicago's out of it. They got 3 wins.
Doesn't matter.
How would they vote? They don't give a rat's ass. Doesn't affect them at all.
Well, the owners would probably like it because it means an extra playoff game.
More revenue for the league?
Yeah, like if it was up to the
not substantial, but I got you.
Why wouldn't it be substantial?
Like I don't think when the money finally got down to each individual team compared to what they're making anyway, I don't think that extra game would be substantial.
It doesn't matter. It's more money. So based on that, wouldn't every league owner say it's 2 more playoff games? Great, let's go?
I don't think if you're a 1 or 2 vying for a 1 seed, I can't see you saying I'm in.
Yeah, but the majority of teams aren't vying
Correct.
for the
I
2 or
agree.
1 seed.
I agree.
So I'm just
Like
following the ball
Cincinnati,
here.
Buffalo, Kansas City, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Dallas. I can see them all saying F that.
Okay. But the majority of owners would say, sure, why not?
Why not?
Now, to the players, would the majority of players say, great, let's go?
Again, I think it would go along the same exact lines.
And
So
don't
the
you-
majority, yes.
But there are more teams that would benefit from it, which means there are
Right.
more players that would benefit from it. So then wouldn't logic tell you that the owners and players would say, let's do it?
Yeah, now, the rub in that, of course, is the commissioner, I think, in this regard, is the czar. He's a dictator.
Right.
In this regard.
No, they need the Players Association approval.
PA would have to say yes to it.
They need the PA approval.
Yes. And why wouldn't the PA say yes?
Well, that's my question. Would they
Yeah.
say no?
I would think the Players Association would say yes because guys make bonuses on the playoffs, more opportunity to be in the playoffs. So even if they said yes, I still think the commissioner has the final stamp on it.
You want the right integrity, too. I mean,
do you, though?
Yes.
Do you?
Do you think they
Justin
want-
Jefferson slammed his helmet to a
don't-
referee's head,
don't do this.
and nobody fined him or suspended
Don't
him.
start
But
with
we
me on
want
this.
integrity. Go ahead.
Do you think it's good if an 8 seed goes on a run and gets to a Super Bowl?
I don't think it's bad.
You don't think it's bad?
No.
They just allowed the team in 5 minutes ago.
I think it becomes
and
a
then
great movie afterwards,
Oh.
not starring Kevin James.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think it's great. You know why? Because then from this point on, every 8 seed, because they will never go back to 7.
Well, that's the other
Right.
reason I'd be against it as a fan.
You never go back.
As much as a Jet fan, you want to dream about being in the postseason.
No, because then it'd be like, how great was it having an 8 seed? We should always do this.
Right.
And then from the future, now you go, hey, an 8 seed has a legitimate chance of winning a Super Bowl. Like when the Giants won the Super Bowl as a wild card. You know, but prior to that, was it 1 wild card Super Bowl champ, 2, whatever it was, right? Ooh, you mean a wild card team could really
So we're
win?
going to expand the playoffs forever.
Well, I mean, to 8, and then we stop.
Oh, there we stop.
Yeah, 8's good. Until the Jets are 9.
Until there's something else a decade from now, and then we go to 9, and then before you know
Yeah.
it, there's no regular season. Let's just put everybody in the
I mean,
playoffs.
isn't that the NBA?
Almost.
I mean, we're going in that direction, right?
Yeah, you still miss the playoffs
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah, but once they put that midseason tournament in, we are in like Flynn, baby. We are going to win a lot of those midseason tournaments, buddy. All right, listen, let's get your take on all of it. It's fascinating stuff. 877-337-6666. The good news, the great news, is that Demar Hamlin has made substantial improvement. He is communicating by writing. There was a report that he was speaking. He's not. He still has a breathing tube in. But regardless, he's cognitively able to have conversation and understand words and write back. And that's all great. And as Evan said, that news today completely changes now the specter of games this weekend and beyond. Because now it's not this pale of, oh my God, he might die. Now it's, oh my God, he's going to make it. Let's go play some football. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. So I think that's great. And for those of you that have followed this story or participated in it by, Venmoing money to the foundation or just being hip to everything going on, this is great. Great.
And you talked about this the last few days about how those men and women on the sidelines saved his life. There's a name attached to it. The guy that gave him CPR is the Bills' assistant athletic trainer, Danny Kellington. And Albert Breer was tweeting it out that his speed of getting over there and the skill of administering CPR was a big part of why he's alive.
That guy's a
These
hero.
guys are absolute heroes.
Yeah, and they don't think of themselves that way. If you're a firefighter, a cop, an EMT, an ambulance, professional, this is what you do. This is what you sign up for. It's what you do. Like, we go to work and talk. You go to work and save lives. So I'm sure he doesn't think anything special about what he did. It's what he's trained to do. But you're right. He did it.
And one of the things the doctors also said is that he lost his pulse on the field. He received CPR, and then within minutes, his heartbeat was restored. So he was saved.
That's the guy
on that football field.
What's the guy's name again that did the assistant trainer?
The guy's name is Danny Kellington.
Danny Kellington,
the Bills' assistant athletic trainer, and he sprinted out there and was the one who performed CPR on him.
I'm getting chills thinking about that.
Oh, it's crazy.
That guy is I can't wait to watch this Bills New England game because number one, it's a great crowd anyway. They're among the best fans in football, right? And my gut is now that he's out of the major woods, still critical, but out of the major woods where he can communicate. He's breathing more on his own, not completely though. They're going to introduce this Kellington.
Oh, yeah.
that's going to be, you're going to, how do you not cry? Like, I feel it right now, like wanting to well up when I hear that. And that's a guy you put, I think the Buffalo Bills have one non-player in their Ring of Honor. It's Von Miller, who's the longtime radio voice of the Buffalo Bills. You put this guy in the Ring of Honor.
No doubt he's a hero.
Right? That's a no-brainer.
And I'm sure there were others that were on the sideline. That's the first name I've
all
seen.
of it. I guess collectively you put like
everybody.
You put like whatever the symbol is for healthcare, whatever the band-aid of the thing is. You're right, not just him.
They saved his life.
His job was CPR. There are other jobs. Someone had to intubate him.
Sure.
Someone had to get the oxygen bag. They all belong there. That is going to be an emotional moment. I can't wait to watch on Sunday when they get ready to play the Patriots and beat them by 30.
I hope so.
Yeah, because it knocks the New England Patriots out of the playoffs, man. Especially, if we're going to add an 8 seed, we start needing some help.